See, it's no good, Montag. We've all got to be alike. The only way to be happy is for everyone to be made equal. We must burn the books, Montag. All the books.
Sir?
Yes, what matter?
Fahrenheit 451, the temperature at which paper ignites and burns, which is about 233 degrees Celsius, but I mean, Americans are afraid of the metric system, so Fahrenheit 451. I mean, 233 Celsius doesn't quite have the same ring to it, hey?
Now, have any of you guys ever seen one of these bad things for real?
I'm 2 parts excited, 3 parts nervous, and 7 parts totally geeking out about the upcoming film version of this classic novel. Sure, there was a version made in 1966 and a 2004 adaptation called Equilibrium. But before we all lose our minds about Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon facing off in this upcoming HBO film version of Fahrenheit 451, I think there are a few things you need to know before you go and see it.
Naturally, in what you are about to see, any similarity with the truth or with real life would be purely coincidental. Do bear that in mind.
Let's start with how it's based on a story that is almost 70 years old. Ray Bradbury wrote Fahrenheit 451 in 1950, a time where televisions were becoming commonplace in every household. This would have been a time of a mass cultural shift. More and more people were staying inside watching their televisions instead of going out for walks. Last time I saw people go for walks was during those 2 weeks in 2016 when Pokemon Go was popular. The novel expressed Bradbury's fear of the future and the impact of mass communication. This subject was explored in many of his short stories, like The Veldt and The Pedestrian. The fear that relationships would crumble and we would disappear into ourselves, obsessed with a world of flashy entertainment. And this was in 1950, a time before the internet, computers and mobile phones. And this is important because it predicted so many things about today. In Fahrenheit 451, characters are constantly plugged into media, from the TV screens that take up entire rooms of their house, aka the parlours, to the blaring ads on the subway, to the little seashell radios, wireless headphones that are being constantly listened to. That's right, Ray Bradbury predicted iPods in 1950. And in her ears, the little seashells, the thimble radios tamped tight, and an electric ocean of sound, of music and talk coming in on the shore of her unsleeping mind. Yeah. Thanks, Apple. The novel has characters entirely obsessed with their soap opera style TV shows, which they call their family, and they engage with on their walls.
You're absolutely fantastic!
Being obsessed with other people's lives and the nothingness they say on their walls. Sounds familiar, right? And I don't think Bradbury expected us to bring our screens with us, to travel with them, which is honestly a bit scarier to have our little computer televisions on us everywhere we go, constantly attached to our screens instead of to people. And I think the remaking of this novel into a film couldn't come at a better time. We're falling into a world that he predicted. Are we living in Bradbury's dystopian future? I mean, that's what this story is, a dystopian future. It presents a society that has blind faith in its government and its media outlets. Not just coming out of being published in the 1950s McCarthy era where everyone was pointing fingers at everyone else out of fear, as well as censoring books. But through this overconsumption of media, we have a mob mentality that breeds intolerance. Another idea that's explored in the novel. We see this today in how careful we have to be not to offend, well, anyone. A man was arrested, convicted and fined because people found him offensive. I mean, if it was strong, direct hate speech, sure, maybe, but context is everything. I mean, I live in Australia. Our comedy is regularly offensive, but now we have a precedent for legal action. How can we connect with people if we're constantly afraid of offending them? Gosh, I mean, my boyfriend is regularly offensive. I'd have to forgive him, otherwise I'd be lonely.
How am I offensive?
And Bradbury predicts this on page 76. Don't step on the toes of the dog lovers, the cat lovers, doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, Mormons, Baptists, Unitarians, second-generation Chinese, Swedes, Italians, Germans, Texans, Brooklynites, Irishmen, people from Oregon or Mexico. This novel is supposed to be a cynical fantasy vision of the future. It's supposed to be a warning. It's not supposed to be a how-to guide. Bradbury starts his novel with this. Fahrenheit 451. The temperature at which book paper catches fire and burns. This is a world where, instead of putting out fires, the job of a fireman is to burn books. Because what do books contain? Knowledge, information, words. He starts on page 1. It was a pleasure to burn. We've seen it before. Governments burn books that run counter to what they're trying to put out to the public. Fahrenheit 451 tells the story of a world that wants to suppress all rational and independent thought. So how do you do that? You burn. In this world, books are banned. And history says that firemen always burn books and never put out fires themselves. It seems only natural that the story would follow a fireman and his journey as he discovers the value of books in the world of people too self-absorbed in their own screens to care about anything else. And this is a world on the brink of war, but everyone's too self-absorbed to think about it. And Montag talks about this on page 96. Every hour, so many damn things in the sky. How in the hell did those bombers get up there every single second of our lives? Why doesn't someone want to talk about it? Is it because we're having so much fun at home we've forgotten the world? Is it because we're so rich and the rest of the world so poor and we just don't care that they are? And this is crucial, looking at how this book came out shortly after World War II, where there were book burnings and leaders like Stalin rewriting history books. The world was shook after World War II and the Cold War that followed. There was a genuine fear that new tyrants would follow the path set by monsters like Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini, that they could rise to power, dominate the masses by burning books, rewriting history to suit their perfect idea of the future, using fake news and propaganda. Would our history and news be filtered so that we could be easily controlled? Were those fears justified? Maybe that last bit, eventually. We're on the brink of World War III, and people are more concerned about being offended, and that Game of Thrones isn't going to be on our televisions until next year. I could quite honestly go on for hours about this novel. It's deep and insightful. Rereading it today, it's scary. But for now, I'll have to be happy with another film adaptation and to see if they actually capture everything that Bradbury was warning us about. After all, if they give you ruled paper, write the other way. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming to watch my second video. Let me know in the comments if you're going to go watch the movie and which part you really hope they don't mess up. I know there's something that I'm worried about. I'll probably pop that down there as well and you can tell me what you think. If you want to see more of me, check out my Pixar video, use of cinematography in Pixar. I had lots of fun making it. Something. Would love for you to hit subscribe so I know that you would like me to make some more things, which I might get around to eventually, I guess. Anyway, I'm spudjester. Blah 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 words.